Happy holidays, everybody. This is December 2021, the end of another calendar year at a very difficult time. I don't have to go into that, but onward we go, trying to stay safe and healthy and baking our little hearts out, right? So I wanted to come up with a holiday breakfast / dessert that was a little bit of a twist, and as it happened, more of a twist than I originally intended, on cinnamon rolls. I always use my master butter dough recipe for cinnamon rolls, but I thought everybody loves cinnamon rolls, but what else could I do in a roll-up dough? And I had an idea. Are you ready for the secret ingredients? Here we go. The secret ingredients are chocolate ganache. Yes, very sinful. By the way, just look at that deliciousness. It is so yummy. And this is crushed peppermint. I discovered these little crushed peppermint chips on the Natural Candy Store website because I was looking for my tree nut free goodies, and I saw those and the inspiration just, I had a big epiphany. And I thought, chocolate and peppermint, oh my goodness. So I'm going to make my butter dough, and I'm going to roll it out as if I was making cinnamon rolls. And then I'm going to spread it with chocolate ganache and sprinkle it with these glorious little peppermint chips. Now, if you want to use just the chocolate ganache, you could do that. If you don't want the peppermint in there, don't use it. Up to you, your choice. The first time I made this recipe, I made it with brownie batter. So I made my brownies recipe in the last like 20 minutes of the dough cycle so that I could then spread the brownie batter, the unbaked brownies, obviously, into the rolls. And the end result was so unbelievably yummy, but my husband and my dad both said, needs more intense chocolate. So I've been thinking, how can I do that? How can I do that? And then I realized I could maybe make ganache. Now, I've never made ganache before, and I'm so embarrassed to tell you that it is so easy. I cannot believe I didn't know. And I'm going to tell you how to make it right now. I don't even need to show you. It's that easy. You take semi-sweet chocolate. This is 16 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate and 16 ounces of heavy cream. And the only other ingredient is a pinch of salt. You pour your heavy cream, 16 ounces, into a saucepan and heat it just to the simmering point. I'm sorry, before that, go backwards, rewind. You chop up your chocolate. Now, I had to use chocolate chips because I couldn't find an allergy-safe, good quality chocolate semi-sweet bar. That's what the recipes tell you, but they're kind of snobbish anyway sometimes. So I just used my Guittard Acoma semi-sweet chocolate, AKOMA. It's just their type of semi-sweet chocolate. It's really intense and really delicious. So I chopped it up in my food processor, put it in this bowl, heated the heavy cream just to a simmer, but not to a boil, poured it over, whisked for maybe 30 to 45 seconds until it was smooth, and voila, ganache. That's all it is. Pinch of salt, I forgot. That is all it is to make this lusciousness. Now, my husband and I could stand here at the island and just eat this with a spoon. It is so amazing. This will soften enough for me to spread as I leave it out of the refrigerator. But since it has milk, I'm going to put it back in until the dough cycle is ready. So I'm going to put these yummies aside just until I get the ingredients into the bread pan. But you will see them later in all their glory. All right, so this recipe is my master butter dough recipe. I've made this recipe for you several times before. It has milk, but I didn't have any milk. So I used half and half. Half and half is half milk, half cream. for those of you who are in another country. And it also has an egg, and I always beat my egg just to help the bread machine along. I don't necessarily beat it all the way, but I do some. Sorry for the clatter. Scraping as much as I can. All right, fill that with water. Okay, and since I'm making something sweet, I'm gonna throw a splash of vanilla in, even though it's not in the recipe. There we go. And I have my bread flour. And my sugar. My salt. My butter that I've cut up. No, I did not soften it. It doesn't need to for my bread machine. I always repeat this because different people watch different videos. If you have a preheat or rest cycle on your bread machine, you do not need to warm your liquids, soften your butter, etc. If your machine starts kneading right away, you do. There's my yeast. I am using the SAF Gold label. If you don't have that and don't want to buy it, I don't think that it's going to make an absolutely huge difference. You can use your regular SAF instant yeast, but I bought both because I go through it. So I'm going to get this into the bread machine, and I'm going to show you the dough mixing just in case it's too wet or too dry, so I can show you what I need to do in order to make it the right, I guess, hydration. When this dough comes out, I will be rolling it and spreading it with that sinful ganache and sprinkling it with the peppermint chips, rolling it up, cutting it into rolls. I think you know the rest, but watch and see. This is a little review on how to make the ganache. You can make half the amount I made, which would be half of these. So this is 16 ounce. You would use 8 ounces, which is 1 cup. And then this bag is 12 ounces. So you would, weigh out 8 ounces, but it's 1-to-1 ratio. So I actually made a whole one of these and then a bag plus a few more ounces to make 16 ounces. So I would have 16 of this and 16 of this. And all you do is chop these up, or any semi-sweet chocolate, a good one. This is amazing. This is the Guittard brand Acoma Extra Semi-Sweet. Anyway, they're just really rich and good. You could use anything you want. So you put this whipping cream in a saucepan, and you heat it just until a simmer. Do not boil it. And have this all chopped up in a bowl, and you pour the warmed, simmery whipping cream in. Use a whisk it up till it's smooth. That is it. You can pour it on warm. You can put it in the fridge and have it semi-solid like I showed you earlier. Easiest frosting or filling or whatever ever, and especially if you like chocolate, it's a very, very, very rich, decadent chocolate. Ganache. Now, as far as the crushed peppermint goes, I went the very expensive route and bought 2 of these bags full, but you do not need to do that if you do not have food allergies. All you need to do is grab some candy canes somewhere and just put them in a baggie and smash them with, I don't know, your rolling pin, or outside in your backyard with a hammer. That would be such a sight. Anyway, you don't have to spend the money I spent on these. I bought these because of my food allergies. Again, it's a constant thing. But well, it's about time to check in on the butter dough. Wow. See, I don't think it's not sticky, it's just tacky. I don't think it needs, it's the perfect amount of liquid versus flour. I don't need to add any liquid and I don't need to add any flour. I will check one more time in a few minutes. We're just gonna check in on the dough one more time. And looks perfect. Don't need to worry about this dough again until the dough cycle is done. So we're back. We have my butter dough. I have to leave this to rest for just a few minutes because when I roll it, it shrinks, and letting it rest a little bit helps the gluten kind of relax, that I'll be able to roll it out better. I also just took the ganache out of the refrigerator, and in about 10-15 minutes or less maybe, it will be ready to be spread. I'm just gonna basically spread it like frosting. So we're just gonna be back as soon as I've let both of these kind of hang out a bit. So I've rolled out one rectangle, pretty thin. I can start to see my countertop through it. I'm gonna put some ganache on there. Hope I can spread it nicely. If it doesn't spread pretty well, I will turn off the camera and wait 5 minutes and come back. Because I don't want to rip my dough. Well, all right, let's just let it warm up just a tad more and we will be back. Is it wrong that I just want to put my tongue down there and lick? So the ganache takes maybe 15 minutes-ish to soften up enough. Doesn't take too long. And I want it thick enough so that it has the flavor, thin enough so that it won't melt all over the place. I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier that when I first tried this recipe, I made brownie dough. I don't remember if I mentioned that. Brownie batter, I should say. And oh, it was so yummy. But I pride myself on keeping things reasonably simple for you. And I'm not sure if you guys would have wanted to be making brownie batter at the very last minute just before the dough was going to be ready. This looks pretty messy, Ellen. Messy is my middle name. All right. So, just trying to make that even-ish. And I'm going to sprinkle on the pretty stuff. How much you put on of the peppermint is completely up to you. Normally when I make cinnamon rolls or something like this, I make them in one big tray. But if I make these in one big tray, we will be eating the whole tray. Whereas if I put them in some little ones, there's a little bit for us, a little bit for next door neighbor. You get the idea. All right, let me just grab a paper towel and wipe up my ganache mess a little bit. All right, and I am just going to make sure I can pick this up. Yeah, looks like it. And I'm going to, you can roll either way, I don't know. Sometimes I start at the far end, sometimes I start at the closer end. Well, I think I did a pretty good job rolling that because I didn't get There's a little bit coming out the end, but it's okay. All right. Time to cut. If you've seen me make cinnamon rolls before, I make little ones. I don't like the big full-size cinnamon rolls, and a lot of people have told me that they like that I do it small. So, look at that. All that chocolate peppermint goodness. And these look really tiny, but you know they're going to fatten up when they rise and when they bake. Well, since that one's bigger, I'm going to put it in the middle. Okay, I'm going to do this pan. Do you want me to put it closer? Okay, you got it? Mm-hmm. My husband is the videographer extraordinaire. You certainly are allowed to cut these bigger, full-size cinnamon rolls like this. Nothing wrong with that. This is just kind of my, I don't know, my trademark maneuver with rolled up things. I like to make small ones. I don't even know if I made these equal. Let's see. And this one is smaller, so I'm putting it in the middle. Oops. That one fell down and went boom. So in a few minutes, I'm going to put these into rise, but I'm going to roll out the rest of my dough, do the same, and I will show you what they look like after they've risen. The chocolate peppermint rolls have risen. Ooh, risen. And now I'm going to, oh, I'm a little afraid to do the egg wash. I better just drizzle on the egg wash because I don't want to spread the chocolate too yucky. Anyway, what I'm going to do, and then I'll only just do one of these trays because it's a little boring to watch every little bit of everything, but I will just sprinkle a few more of these on top. The jewelry, shall we say. Oh my gosh. I want to eat one and they're not even cooked, which is not a good idea, but there it is. So I'm going to do that to the rest of these. And when they come out of the oven, there are a couple of choices. And I can make my usual cinnamon roll glaze that I do, which is just powdered sugar, a splash of milk, and a splash of vanilla, and I just drizzle it on. I could do nothing because they're probably already so yummy as they are. Or after they're baked, I could drizzle on some ganache. Oh boy. So what I'm thinking is, if you are making these to serve at breakfast, you may just want them either as they come out of the oven like this, or just with that simple powdered sugar glaze that I mentioned a minute ago. Or if you're serving them like after your holiday dinner or as a snack or whatever, and you want them to be more like a dessert, that's when you would drizzle it with some ganache. And all I did was spoon some out of that big bowl that you saw earlier and put it in the microwave for like, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, and perfect. So that will be up to you. I'm gonna throw these into bake after I finish egg washing all of them, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. I meant to tell you, well, I'm telling you now, that one recipe of this will fill one of these, and it's about 12 by 8. And this is where I usually make a tray of cinnamon rolls, because when I take it for a family, I want it to be enough. I would never take one of those tiny little tins to a family of
3 or 4. I mean, that's to me very chintzy. So when I deliver cinnamon rolls and maybe rolls like these on Christmas morning to a bunch of my friends and neighbors who live around here, I bring them one of these unless it's like a single person. So there you go. So the chocolate peppermint, I should say, rolls have come out of the oven. This one, these were kind of leftovers that my husband and I will get to feast on when we finish this video. You're gonna make them dizzy, honey. I want to show you the options for what you can top these with, and you don't have to top them with anything. So my basic cinnamon roll glazes, and I'm only gonna do a tiny bit, usually I would fill this up, is basically just some powdered sugar, splash of vanilla, and you kind of have to do this by feel, but it doesn't take much, as you can see. And I use just a little mini whisk. And the glaze would look like this. And it starts out white, and it just kind of ends up being clear, but it keeps them nice and moist. This is how I do cinnamon rolls now. Of course, again, like I always say, more is more. Why not have just a few more peppermint chips? Okay, that's that's one option. One option is nothing. Another option, like I said, is I just microwave the ganache for just maybe 10, 15 seconds. And this would be very desserty, obviously. Maybe a little more. And that looks luscious. And of course, or not, you don't have to use more peppermint. My husband's making faces. So clear glaze, ganache glaze, leave it alone, whatever you want. I am going to, is it okay if I put glaze on ours? Because I made it. Can I put more peppermint on the ones we're eating? Okay, because I wanna taste it that way. Okay, and this one, I'll just leave alone. I love when some of the rolls, the center part goes, I love how that looks. I think that is super fun. That one did that too. I don't know why they do it. I should ask somebody, but I absolutely love that. So there is one very important thing left to do, right, Neil? You know what it is. We have to taste. Let me get a little bowl. I'm gonna pull one of these out. Rip it open. Oh yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. I can't wait. Seriously, I can't wait. I am my own best customer, you know. Well, maybe not. My husband's a pretty good customer, so is my dad. And anybody who eats my stuff. I love the ganache flavor. And I love the crunch of the peppermint. It's really, really tender and soft and yummy. And now I'm gonna let my husband turn off the phone camera so that he could try some too. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can comment on YouTube, or you can message me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me all over the place. I hope you enjoyed this. I've been saving this recipe idea since about September. I've been
thinking about doing this. So, oh,